so bad. What's wrong with me? I don't know. Hey guys, we're Garrett and Cathy Pashusta with the Grit and Polish, and today we are going to do another one of our video chats. This one is going to be on
design principles of the grit and polish. So we get reader comments or questions every once in a while about this topic. You know, do we consult or do we do design for others? How do we think about design? Like, you know, just how do you approach a space and where do you get inspiration from? And so we just thought we'd chat in this kind of conversational format on the video about those topics today.
First, you probably are wondering who does the design?
No, I don't think you're wondering.
I guess. Okay, so I do most of it, but Garrett and I do work really well together. And right from the get-go, when we get a new space or a new house, you know, we're looking at that floor plan and we're really talking through the space. We like to actually get into the space, be in it, tape things off.
Yeah.
So we work really well together, especially at the beginning part, to make sure that we're both really happy with the flow of the space, where it's going, kind of major design ideas. And then usually I take it from there and really fill in with
you know, one kind of fun tidbit about Cathy is that, like, for fun, she will like take blueprint, like, you know, drawings of spaces and then try to figure out how to make them more efficient. It's just kind of something that she like is super into, and like
it's not that weird. I bet lots of people like that.
Oh yeah, just right. You know, Friday night, what do you want to do? I want to work over this floor plan a little bit. One thing that we find about the floor plan design portion is it is so helpful to be in a space for a while.
Yeah.
Before you come up with your final floor plan idea. Because, you know, we'll see a house, we'll go tour it. If we, you know, end up buying it, we'll have an idea right off the bat. And then chances are 3 months later, 4 months later, that design has changed about 8 times.
Yeah.
And we finally land on one that is actually a really good plan. But
this does conflict a bit, though, with another thing we've learned recently, and that is living through especially kitchen remodels with kids really sucks. So on the one hand, it's really nice to just, you know, while you don't live in the house, to get it done. But on the other hand, it's really nice to live in the space so that you can really get the best possible use out of it.
Double-edged sword.
So yeah, you know, pick your poison on that one. That's all I can say there. So let's talk about our principles for design, things that we've really developed over the last 10 years and 7+ houses that we've worked on. So I wrote them down here. First off, we really look to the house for inspiration. That's our number one source for where we pull the design from, is the house itself. So when it was built and what style it is, we want someone to walk through the front door and just feel like the entire house feels really continuous and really cohesive.
Yeah, the old architecture and the details in the house can really give you a good idea for how to, you know, take on that new room or take on that new space, what kinds of things you want to put in there as far as moldings and windows and, you know, those kinds of things. The historic nature of the house as it exists is really the kind of the backbone of the design for us.
Yeah. You know, another thing you've seen a lot of in our designs is the color white. And there are so many reasons for that. First off, white is easy. It's, you know, probably, it looks great almost all the time. I wouldn't recommend it for like places like basements or something with like not a lot of natural light, but white looks great a lot of the time. And it's another positive for us is that it's really well liked. It's really easy to live with. And, you know, all of our houses, no matter what the intent is when we buy them, you know, if it's going to be a primary residence or we're planning on a rental, often it ends up as all of those, and possibly we end up selling it too. So, you know, we're not just looking to design for ourselves. We're looking to design for to get top dollar as a rental, so that people come in and see it and are like, oh man, I want to live here. And we're also looking at it as a possible resale in the future. So, you know, all those things kind of come together, and white is the answer.
It also serves as a really great palette for layering on those personal touches that give the room the character, that reflects your own kind of design choices. Mm-hmm. You can put antiques, vintage pieces, you can layer in some color with throws, pillows, whatever. You know, those types of things come in to give the vibrancy and the interest to the space rather than relying on like a really bold wall color or something.
Yeah, white doesn't have to mean boring. You know, the way to keep it fresh is to really layer on textures and interest, and like Garrett said, really add that personal touch. Another reason I like white is because it calms the chaos of life. You know, it's like a nice, simple place to start. We have 3 kids. They're 6, 4, and 2. So basically, any room they come into, you know, that it's like a bomb went off in there. You know, they're bringing stuff in. There's always markers, and you know, you just never know. But there's stuff everywhere, basically all the time. So I just think white is like that calm, easy place to be in to really live your life from. At least it is for me. You know, another thing is white is really easy, not just to live with, but to pick. You know, we use Benjamin Moore Simply White. That's our go-to white. We've used that on probably 90% of the walls that we've ever painted. And it's a warm white, and we've just had good luck with that. And I would not recommend that you color match it because it turns out a little yellow. So Simply White by Benjamin Moore, from Benjamin Moore. That's our color. And
the other benefit to having like one color is that we have several places that we're back into sometimes, and we know what kind of white paint's on the wall.
Yeah, so, like every rental, when we go in, if we have to, you know, repaint a wall, it's not like you have to go through and try to remember what you used. We got it, and we probably have a can of it in the truck anyway, you know, so it makes it really easy. And I was gonna say that picking color is hard. I know it seems easy, like you just go pick a paint color, but it is really hard to get the right color. You know, this is a navy blue wall. This is the only colored wall in the entire house. Everything else is white. And you know, I'm not great at picking color, I would say. There are some people that are good at it, but most people aren't. I think it's a lot like driving. Garrett was telling me there's like a statistic out there that if you ask someone if they think they're a good driver, you know, most people think they're above average at driving. And I think people think that about color too. And most of us are not great at picking color. And not to say that you can't do it. I do think you just have to paint a ton of samples on the wall and really see it in different lights, different times of the day.
Yeah, and there are people that are paid big dollars to pick those colors. I mean, they're good and they're trained in it, and you know, that's something that, you know, if you want to hire a designer, go for it.
Yeah, or want to get a bunch of samples and go that route, do it. You know, we are basically lazy, and we're going to pick the easy path, and white is it, especially because it's, you know, my favorite wall color anyway. So that's our story about white. Another thing we mentioned, we look to the house for inspiration, and that's really easy when you have an old house. Most of our houses are built right around the turn of the century, so they're 100 plus years old. But if you don't have a new house, ways you can bring that character and interest to your space.
Go to your friend's old house and find out what you like about the details in that place, and then bring them to your house.
Yeah, and probably the easiest way to do that is with molding. A lot of new houses come with like these dinky, tiny little baseboards. So right away, I'd recommend beefing those up. And then things like board and batten, tongue and groove paneling. I know shiplap's been popular. That's whatever. But you know, those kind of molding details are really great to add immediate interest to a space. And then I would also recommend layering on antiques, especially, you know, some rich wood tones, something with texture. Vintage rugs or vintage art are great to add that kind of instant character without actually remodeling your house.
Talking about moldings, like, they don't require a remodel. That's what they're like, a very cost-effective way and effort-effective way to add that old, like, little bit of character and craft to a big, you know, sheetrock box.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't take a ton of money and time to do that kind of thing, and so that's a really great way to get a good bang for your buck.
Yeah, and this is kind of an aside, but I would say if there are 2 things you can do to your space like today, if you're kind of bored with it and don't have a lot of money, number 1 would be to paint it, and number 2 would be to add molding to the space. Those are, you know, the best budget tips we've got. Okay, so another design principle for us is to use natural materials. We are fans of things like wood, marble, real stone. We do not use synthetic things. We try to stay away from particle board cabinets, things like that. We're really trying to pick natural materials that will last a long time and look great. Why would you say we like natural materials?
Well, those natural elements really ground a space and connect it to nature and the natural world, and that's such an inspiring piece of just being a human on the earth, is to, be surrounded by those natural settings and natural elements.
Another design principle of ours is budget. We do not believe that good design takes a ton of money. I mean, it takes money, but it doesn't have to take, all your money. And I say that, but we're also looking for quality materials, because our houses, we need to last for a long time. They're usually rentals, and we want those rentals to last for, as long as we do. So we are really looking for quality materials that are budget friendly. So that is definitely a pinnacle of our design. Money is always kind of right here.
Yeah, the budget is always a factor. And so we're looking for quality, but at a reasonable cost. And we feel like we can get that in a lot of times. A great way to get it is to work with what's in your house already. You can salvage a lot of moldings and doors. Like whenever there's an old door in a house, we're always reusing that. We're never going to get new doors unless they're completely
unless someone else has already put in like hollow core doors, and then those are gone.
So but yeah, we're always looking to use those old materials, and that's a great way that you can get that character and also be budget friendly.
Yeah. We also stay away from the word trend. That's kind of a scary word to me, because it means something's really exciting right now, but probably won't be down the road. My biggest fear with our spaces is that someone's gonna walk in 30 years and be like, oh man, this looks really 2000.
How about mosaic glass backsplash tile?
Yeah. But I'm thinking like when you walk into a house that looks really 60s or really 70s, you might see like orange shag carpet, you see those like,
obviously,
cabinets are, but
at that time, that was what everybody
trendy.
That was what was in. Like people wanted that. They wanted, when they did a remodel, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this. We want 3-inch long shag carpet that's burnt orange in our house." That's like, yes, I want that.
Yeah, so we really stay away from trends. We are really looking to the house for really timeless and classic details, but with obviously modern amenities, especially in kitchens and bathrooms and things. So stay away from the word trends. It's good to know what's going on and what's like exciting, but then bring it back down to
timeless,
yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Old.
Yeah.
Historic.
Those are wonderful words. We also try to keep as much of the original house intact as possible. And I don't just mean things like built-ins and molding and things like that. I also mean the actual walls, where you can. That really does help with the budget. I guess that's under budget.
Yeah, so we might come up with this really grand vision.
And we usually do when we get to a house.
Who followed the kitchen renovation saw a few different floor plans, and one of them was basically like gutting the whole back of the house and making this great big open, like spacious kitchen. And in the end, we didn't do that. We opted to work within the walls that were there and salvage all the cabinets and everything. So we were able to reuse a ton of stuff in the space. And we're getting ready to finish that up and have a reveal out for you soon. So stay tuned for that. But it's turning out really, really awesome. I really love where it's going. And so I think that's a good reality check kind of principle on the design. Like whenever you scale it back and whenever you work with what's there more, you're going to save money.
You're going to get a better design and you're going to save money. So let's recap. Our design principles are look to your house for inspiration. White is always easy. For instant character, you can layer on antiques and molding. Use natural materials as much as possible. Keep the budget always in the back of your mind. Stay away from the word trend. Keep as much of the original structure as possible. And lastly, design for semi-wide appeal. So there's 8. Those are our principles. Those are always guiding us in every space we cover design. All right, thanks for watching this video. If you guys want to see another video on a different topic, please let us know in the comments below.
Well, we'll probably put out another video on another topic, but if you want your topic that you want to hear about on the video, then definitely leave us a comment in the blog post. You know, your feedback and those comments really help us to bring you the content that you guys want to hear.
Yeah, thanks for watching.